Yo, welcome everybody. It is nope, not Sunday, Monday night, and this is In the Batter's Box. It is the NGSC Sorts Baseball show. I'm your host, Ralph Garcia. We're my straight up made in Houston. It's where my story begins, not mine. I just bought it while I was living in Houston, but that's all it was. I am your host, Ralph Garcia, of course, and along with me is my co-host. He is the host of the Enhanced Sports Show, Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Our good friend, co-host of In the Batter's Box. Unfortunately,
here it comes.
Yankee fan, but stuff happens. Louis Tenor. Louis.
Ralph.
I think that I haven't told you in a while, Louis. I apologize that I have not expressed to you lately my absolute, pure, undeniable, totally committed, absolute pure hatred for the New York Yankees.
Well, I thought you'd wait till the regular season starts, but then again, you probably would have started earlier.
Louis, I have dreams. I have dreams of the Yankees getting blown out by the fourth inning in the wintertime in a snowstorm. Are you kidding? I dream about the Yankees losing all the time, Louis. Of course.
I've seen worse than that.
Of course, this guy creeped into my life, literally just creeped into my life for like a day or two, and friggin' nearly 13 years later, he won't go away. Thank God for that. My partner, the co-host are In the Batter's Box. More importantly, one of the best friends of my life, John Doucette. What do you say, John?
Ralph, as always, good to be with you.
Yeah, think about that, John. So 12 years. It's going on 12 years.
True.
Damn. Here for 7.
We have kept this thing together for 12 years. That's right.
No, it's one of those moments, John, where I can say, you meet somebody, you don't know where that's going. Besides a woman who might be the love of your life. But when I met you, I can for sure say, at least with Louis, it was a podcast thing, right? So I said, well, I've seen the guy before, and I'll see him again, right? Because he's doing his own show. When I met you, I met the guy for around an hour, 90 minutes, whatever it was. I don't even remember his freaking name. I'll never see the guy again. It's almost 12 years later.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
I know, John. It's been a good thing. It's been a good thing. Again, we never claimed to be any of the big boys. We never tried to be. John and I have never been interested in not even the letter G in glory, much less glory. That is not what we ever did this for. We got a whole lot more than we thought we were going to get. So we're definitely grateful. We're definitely grateful for that. I'm old now. John's older, but John's body is about 15 years younger than mine. John's able to get around, John gets from park to park to arena to ice hockey arena to ice hockey. It's a lot of fun what we do. So we're just going to keep on doing it, okay?
Yes.
Eventually things will change. But I'm not going to say anything else about that live. Not now. Welcome to the show. Of course, please remember the website. It is NGSCSports.com, where you catch all of the current sports content that we can give you. So, sorry if you don't see us giving you a lot of NFL coverage, a massive MLB, NHL coverage, a lot of NBA coverage. We give you that. Of course we do. We want to give you, especially those who don't get what they should get, right? Let's never forget the forgotten man, the forgotten woman, the forgotten athletes. Hey, at NGSC Sports, we don't forget any of them. And we're blessed to be with the schools that we're with, the relationships that we, especially my partner John, has built over a decade, John. You've got your relationship with Boston College, UMass Lowell, other schools up there that you have maintained for years. You're a mainstay for these people. I always joke with John, Louis, when he shows up at these arenas, they already know who he is. They already know who he is.
Yeah.
I know that guy right there. Come to say. I think it's a good feeling.
It is.
John and I are not, no knock to my sister networks, whoever hears this. John and I are not interested in taking pictures with famous people. It means nothing. If we wanted to do that, we would have started doing that a long time. John would have said, I got a great idea. Let's take pictures with famous people. I'm not interested in getting into a plane to go somewhere just to say I was there. But when I see John on camera interviewing UMass Lowell baseball coach, when he's got press conferences, post-game pressers with those kids who may never, most of them will never see the next level again.
True.
We take a lot of pride in that here at NGSC Sports, where we never stop. Okay, 15 minutes in, 15 minutes later, but that was important. But it is a baseball show, so we got to talk baseball. So, relationships. One of the biggest keys of the success of Major League Baseball is the relationships that they've been able to maintain with the media. TV contracts.
Yep. Look
at the change, the three of us who have watched baseball for decades.
Even me.
The immense change once local television became national television, became cable television, became streaming television. Listen, baseball goes nowhere without television contracts, okay? I mean, they can make a whole lot of money on merchandising, and they will. And there's a lot of other avenues that John will know many more than I would ever dream of that a Major League Baseball organization can make money on. But John, you correct me if I'm wrong. If you don't have a multi-billion-dollar TV contract, you pretty much SOL.
That is true. I mean, for the most part, yes. The difference between the major market teams and really the small market teams is the television contract. No question.
That was the thing. The second thing I was going to mention. And let's not forget the little guys who crave the contracts that the big boys get.
Yes.
But sometimes, like in a relationship, you got to break up. You got to move on. And John brings to us a story. It says, ESPN and MLB are breaking up. And John, I don't have a violin. I don't have a harp. I wish I had some sound here. Thank you, Louis. Please, John, please tell us the horrid details of this breakup.
Well, it's a breakup that's going to come to an end when this season comes to an end. This is a contract that was worth $550 million. It still had 3 years left on it, but ESPN has decided that they really don't need Major League Baseball anymore, and they have decided to, once this season comes to an end, to eliminate the contract and eliminate what's left of it, and move on.
Wait. Who decided? Who does it need? Who?
Well, ESPN did decide they didn't need Major League Baseball anymore. And when you think about what they run, I mean, they've got the NFL, they've got the NHL, they've got the NBA, college football, college basketball, they've got some college hockey and baseball too. They certainly have more than enough to be able to sustain themselves without putting Major League Baseball on the air.
Now, Louis, there's a reason why I opened up the way I did, because obviously we know this is what's happening.
Yes.
But think about what I said. The relationship between, I said, of course, the sports franchises, in this case, Major League Baseball franchises, dependent on these contracts, right? But also these companies like ESPN and others that carry these games, that pay for these games, it's also been important to them all these years to have that relationship. All of a sudden, Louis,
Right.
another evolution pops up, right? When did you ever think you would hear somebody like ESPN basically say, we don't need Major League Baseball anymore? Wow.
Well, when you think about it, because ESPN has, reduced its coverage in the last few years, whatnot. I mean, at one time it was like what, uh, 30, 35 games a week or whatever, and then it dwindled down. They don't do Wednesdays anymore. They don't do uh, Thursday
Monday.
or Friday games, whatever it was. So it really shrunk it down. So I'm not really surprised by this. I'm sad and disappointed as a baseball fan, but I'm not surprised at all. So it's the one that they I have decided to just do away with it completely.
Now,
It
We'll say
doesn't
this,
shock
I
me.
think the one thing that the players are probably happy about is that the Sunday night game will come to an end.
Yes.
They didn't like the
Unless
Sunday
somebody
night
wants to
game.
jump
They
in.
I was going to ask, John, here's my thing. Okay, I know. Louis, great points, by the way. I didn't think about that, about the reduction of coverage.
Right.
That
Yeah.
happened. That is true. That's right. I forgot about that. Kind of making you think, oh, you can see that this was coming and it was coming. John, I asked you this, John. Forget all that, okay? I need to know more, John. I mean, your opinion, of course, we're not the experts. We're not in the room. But, John, what happened? What really happened here? Why? I mean, I know what you said about these other leagues, but it's Major League Baseball. It's not like it's a small little startup league. Why?
I just think that Major League Baseball became very unhappy with the lack of attention they were getting from ESPN, especially their morning shows that they run. If you watch those shows, they really don't talk about Major League Baseball in any way, shape, or form. They had eliminated, as Louis said, they had reduced their coverage to basically Monday night and then Sunday night's game. So they really only were doing 2 games a week. And I do think that Major League Baseball wanted more, and they weren't going to get it from them. And so the idea of moving on from them became easy.
No, and I get that part. I may not have asked this properly. I'm looking at it from ESPN. Going by, Louis really hit a spot for me when I forgot about. Because you're right. And look, you just said something else that light bulb went off. Holy crap, that's right. I watch ESPN every morning. And every time I watch it, and even if it's just Sports Center, I see so much less baseball coverage than I used to. Because it was very easy to see how much they were inundating you with baseball, right? So here's my question. I asked it wrong, John. Because Louis, when he brought up that point of the declining coverage, that's been happening for a while. It's not like it just started. It's been happening for a while now. Well, is it possible? Was this something that's been in the works? I'm trying to ask it the right way, John. Something that's been in the works for a while that ESPN has been building up to?
Oh, I think they probably have been
pushing them away.
I think they have been thinking about dumping Major League Baseball for a few years now. They also wanted this $550 million contract to have a bit of a reduced payment to it, which Major League Baseball was not willing to do. And so I think that the money became a part of this as well, that if ESPN was going to pay the full value and yet they weren't going to give full value, that they wanted some of the money back, and Major League Baseball wasn't willing to give it to them.
You get what I'm saying, Louis? Because when you said that, it really hit home because I was thinking, damn, he's right. They really cut the coverage. So it made me think, Louis, like, wait a minute, there's some backdoor shady crap here. They were planning this stuff, and it still gets me back to the same question. Why? Now, we'll never know the answer. What happened? What happened a couple of years ago, whenever it may have been 2-3 years ago, that all of a sudden ESPN says, hey, guys, you don't cover baseball that much. We're gonna something's missing here, John. Because when would you have ever thought that an ESPN would say, we don't need Major League Baseball?
Well, no, I agree. Look, I agree. I think that you would never have thought that ESPN would have said no to anybody based on what they do and just look at what they do on a regular basis. That you're talking about a company that's spending billions and billions of dollars for broadcasting rights of leagues. And so the idea of being concerned about $550 million, you would think is something that for them is basically a drop in the bucket. but they, I think, really were looking for a way out and figured that the reduced coverage would do that for them, and it did.
Now I know that. By the way, $550 million. That doesn't seem like a lot to me. I mean, considering the packages of today.
Well, think about
Right.
what they do. I mean, basically, the $550 million was for the Sunday night game and for the wild card round of the playoffs. That's really what it was for.
In that case, that's a nice price. Now,
Right.
now, yes, ESPN opts out of the deal. I'm also wondering, John, how much this has to do. We know that Rob Manfred,
Sure.
he recognizes that he's in a time of such innovation of the game, of all sports. The way coverage is changing. We've gone from local 3 channels to 15 to 900 channels to streaming now to teams having their own networks. So Rob Manfred is having to juggle a lot to maybe want to, how do I say, he wants to, he's looking at baseball in the big picture. He's thinking of tomorrow. And I don't know, maybe that may have something to it. Maybe on the Major League Baseball side, because I just put it on ESPN. Maybe it was Major League Baseball and Manfred thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm going to think of another strategy here when it comes to baseball and try to take baseball to the next level. And maybe they told ESPN, you know what? Screw you guys. We're going to do this ourselves.
Well, I
Might
think
be.
live streaming is where this is going. I don't think there's any question about that. And I think each individual team is eventually going to come up with their own live streaming service and basically take care of themselves. And I think that that's probably where this is going, that Major League Baseball is really going to become a live streaming only way to see these games on television.
Because one thing for sure, Louis, it's not like the Major League Baseball teams are going to have a hard time if they all get their own streaming service, their own channel, their own network. They're not going to have a hard time selling the product. People are going to watch Major League Baseball. They can keep the money. They keep the money for themselves.
But you'll just find another way to watch it, though. That's all.
Right. I mean, what's going to be the price per game, I think, is the other part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
pay up, buddy.
For every team, the price is going to be different. And I
You know
think
what?
for the small market teams, it may be easier to sell the live streaming based on the price. For the large market teams, I mean, they can basically charge whatever they want to charge, and it's basically they can get away with it. So I think price is going to be a very interesting part to all of this for the live streaming to work for each individual team.
Can't get anything for free anymore.
No.
No.
I mean, teams like Tampa Bay and for Sacramento / Las Vegas, the Miami Marlins, I mean, what are you going to charge here that's going to entice their fan base to go ahead and buy the live stream and watch 100 games or 150, whatever it is that they make available?
Now, I'm seeing a little something here on Outkick.com, Clay Travis's website. Says here ESPN wanted to pay $350 million less per year. You got to be kidding me. I think, what is it? Joking?
Again, basically, the package was just for the Sunday night game and for the wild card round of the playoffs.
That's a hell of a cut, John. 550 or whatever million to 200 million.
And I think Major League Baseball wasn't willing to give the 350 back. And
No.
I think they weren't willing to give the 350 back. ESPN said, we don't need you anymore.
So now, who else MLB got now? Where's their coverage? Fox?
Well, they'll still have Fox, and I think Fox is not going to go away. So they still have them. They still have Apple TV, which takes care of the Friday night games. But other than that, and they have Fox Sport 1, obviously, that will
TBS.
do. TBS, too. That's the other one. So they still have enough. But let's face it, you're talking about $300 million that these small market owners are all of a sudden not going to be able to tap into anymore.
Hey, John, you ever heard of a company called Valley Sports?
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
Exactly.
Wow. I just thought of them.
I mean, it's an interesting time for Major League Baseball, no question, because to be told that you're not needed anymore, I think is the kind of slap in the face that they weren't anticipating and or expected. And whether it's legitimate or not, still, it's the kind of statement you don't want to hear.
John, I sure wasn't expecting it. Are you kidding me? If you tell me, John Elway, hey, Rob, just want to let you know, we're going to talk next week that I found out ESPN and MLB is breaking up. John, what have you been drinking? What have you been smoking? Why would they do something like that? Oh, look who's here. Mr. Dustin Green. Howdy,
There it
folks.
is.
Dustin, how dare you tell me howdy here and not have your face on this screen drinking
Hello, brother.
drinking a Mountain Dew, huh? What would Nick? Hey, Dustin, what would Nick Swisher do?
Never mind.
Yeah.
Dustin, we miss you, Dustin. Always keeping up with what's going on. Very, very proud of you, young man.
Yes.
Keep up the good work, okay? Keep up the good work. Much love always from here. And always know, Dustin, this is your home. Always your home.
Come back.
So, Major League Baseball hasn't started yet, per se. Spring training has. So, we do want to talk about the goings on in Major League Baseball. Before I put up the first one, John, I thought about this. I go to my wife's job. She works at Walmart. And you know me, I'm an outgoing guy, so I'm friendly with her coworkers. One guy in particular, name is Mike. Hey, Mike, what's going on? Ralphie, hey, what's going on? Baseball started. Big Cubs fan. I can't wait to see him. I hope I see him tomorrow. Ralphie, you see my Cubbies? 8-0. They haven't lost. I want to see if I see Mike tomorrow so I can tell him, ever since you said they were 8-0, they haven't won.
I think the interesting thing that's going on is how the Dodgers are treating Otani, and the fact that they think that he can be back pitching by sometime in May. He hasn't played in any spring training games yet, but it looks like that he is at least going to start the year as a DH again, and eventually go back to
Actually,
being.
he did on Saturday.
Oh, he did play Saturday. Okay, so he played Saturday. So the idea of him going back to being a two-way guy again, I think, becomes a very interesting dynamic here for a team that really doesn't need him to be a two-way player anymore.
I love to, but unfortunately, I can't comment on this particular topic. But I know, Dustin. I know.
Yes, that's true.
That's why sometimes it's hard not having you around anymore. Because I can't tell you this, Dustin Green. Anybody who says you didn't bring light to this show, you tell them I said they lied, okay? Buddy, you are so much fun to have on the show. Sometimes you were a little too much fun to have on the show, Dustin. So before I come up with the first one, I got to remember, watching First Take, Stephen A. Smith, but it's going to pertain to baseball. And they were talking about Travis Hunter, of course, University of Colorado, who is now going to the NFL. He wants to go to the NFL as a defensive back and a wide receiver. He's made his intentions clear. He wants to play both positions 100% of all snaps. First of all, Travis, that means you're going to play about 115 plays a game. You must be planning on having a 3-year NFL career.
Exactly.
You try to play that. I give you all the props in the world. I just can't see how a human body can sustain that. But that's not the point I'm making. They were talking about and comparing what he's trying to do and what Shohei Ohtani does. And Chad Ochocinco was a guest. And what he said was, think about it, it's fantastic. So I say, Ocho, what's your thoughts on that? Ocho says, not even close. What Travis Hunter is trying to do is almost impossible. His coach couldn't do it, and prime time is one of the greatest to ever do it on both sides of the ball. And you just cannot sustain 55, 60 plays on both sides of the ball. But it doesn't come close to what Shohei Ohtani is doing. Chad Ochocinco said he tried to hit a baseball and throw a baseball. He said you can't understand what it takes to throw a baseball and then try to hit that ball. He said that's a whole different ball game. This is just the football. We just don't want to drop the football when we have it in our hands. We want to catch it and hold it. And I'll go further. He didn't go any further. I'll go further by saying with a football, the quarterback hands it off to the running back. It is dependent on the quarterback making the correct move on that play call, John, to be able to hand the ball to the running back, in which the running back then secures the football and hits the hole assigned by the play, and the play happens. Same thing with a pass. Make sure you throw it properly, release it properly, your receiver catches it, secure it, and gain as many yards as you can, or maybe you're lucky and you get to the end zone. But damn it, you got this little baseball coming at you in different waves and different speeds and different directions. You're trying to hit this damn thing. That's just not the same. It's just not the same. So I really appreciated that he said that, because when you said they're looking at him to be able to pitch, I can't help to keep thinking all the time, this guy's going to do it again, John. He's going to pitch and he's going to hit. He's just going to do it like he's going to do it like
it's nothing.
Like it's nothing.
Unless his arm falls off this time, and then maybe that's basically what happened.
Woo!
But,
Hey,
it happens. Well, until that happens, he's going.
Careful, you might wind up with his interpreter. Careful.
No, I know. But let's face it. I think that's his mindset is that he'll falls off.
Dustin Green might not be live on the air, but he is stirring the pot.
Wow, that big a drop.
Travis Hunter will slide to the third round, in my opinion, based on reports of his combine interview. Okay, yeah. Dustin, I'm going to tell you what I normally tell you on the air live. Please put down the Mountain Dew on the table and roll the chair back about 5 feet.
At least.
Awesome show. Awesome partner. Hey, Brad. By the way, Brad.
By the way, Brad got to see South Florida play pretty well this weekend at home against UCF. And
yeah, by the way, Brad, we got to have a show. We got to have a baseball show and talk South Florida baseball. Start showing me a little love. Have you on. We got to have Brad on for a few minutes. So start planning that.
Yeah.
Partner.
Yes.
As we made the announcement earlier, we're happy to announce that Bradley Lewis Walker is now the number 3 man at NGSC Sports. He's already being a pain in my ass, and I love it. No, that's not true, Brad. Yes, it is. No, but anyway, goings on in Major League Baseball. Dustin, did you put the damn Mountain Dew down? Okay, Louis, this one's for you.
Okay.
God, I hate the Yankees. I really do. But
yes,
I respect winning. I respect the winning tradition. I also respect the fact, by the way, that Al Steinbrenner and the Yankee organization has decided, hey, if you got it nicely groomed, you can keep it. Because when your boy said, I'm not shaving, well, you're not playing then, because that's not the way it works with the Yankees. It is great. It's great to see how, like, stepping up with the times.
Yes.
But Hal, I promise you that they're not happy in the Bronx because they don't give a damn about beards anymore or non-beards because Yankee fans are pretty sick and tired of waiting.
I just want to know how you think about Stanton because he keeps getting injured year after year after year. He's not going to start the season. I mean, talk about the Achilles heel, and unfortunately, he's ours.
A couple of years ago, if I'm correct, Louis, I heard the call for Aaron Boone's head.
Yeah,
I think multiple times, right? Multiple times. And then, all of a sudden, Aaron Boone gets an extension. So, Louis, since I wasn't ready for this one. What happened?
Yeah, I really don't think there was much doubt that he was going to get the extension. I mean, he did take us to the World Series for the first time in a dog's age, and is well deserved. I mean, it was our best season since 2009, so I think the extension is well deserved. Now, of course, all you Yankee naysayers out there, well, but well deserved, and I think eventually he's going to take us to. Thanks, Dustin. It's way overdue and well deserved. And I think with in the next year or two, yeah, we're going to win the World Series, whether the rest of you fans like it or not.
Dustin, do me a favor. Don't start, okay? I got enough with this guy. The only reason I miss you, Dustin, but the only reason I don't miss you, I got enough with this Yankee fan. You know how hard it was with both of you on here? That was hard. Now this guy way too overdue. Did you forget, Dustin, that I hate the Yankees? You didn't forget that, right? You don't need me to remind you, right? Oh, by the way, Dustin, the wife and I are planning a trip. And we're hoping that during this trip, that's going to take us to Pennsylvania and Maine and Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm hoping to convince the wife to take a little detour. Instead of going home this way back to Tennessee, we can go this way. You know what's this way from Massachusetts?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York. You know who lives up there? Mr. Dustin Green. Dustin, one of the spots that we want to go to is Buffalo. We want to go to Niagara Falls. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to sit on your lap, take a ride right down Niagara Falls. All right.
In a barrel.
Back to baseball. No, John. So Boone gets the extension. And as Louis said right there, and if you're a Yankee manager, you live on the hot seat from the moment you signed the damn contract. That's just a life in the Bronx. Anyway, I didn't think it was fair the heat that Aaron Boone took a few years ago when basically it was looking like, oh, this guy's out. it was just a matter of time. He gets this extension. He works hard. He earned it. As Louis said, he takes the team to the World Series. By the way, he better have taken that team to the World Series. So let's not act like he did something major. He had a great team that he should have taken to the World Series. Problem now, John, is he gets the extension, and that comes with, again, the usual pressure of being the manager of the New York Yankees. Now what? Because then if he doesn't get this team at least back to the championship series, here we go again.
Well, again, remember, this is an extension. It's only a short-term extension. This is only for 2 years. So remember
that doesn't matter in the Bronx. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but it's only through the 27th season. I do think he got the extension based on as a reward for taking that team to the series last night.
He should have gotten it, and he earned it.
Now he's got to figure out how to do it again, and he's going to have to do it with one less bat in that lineup, which certainly helped him. I mean, there's no Juan Soto this year, and so that offense is going to have to again center around Aaron Judge one more time, which for Judge, I'm sure he's happy at that. But we'll see if that pans out for him. But still, I think, if Aaron Boone can't get him back there over the next couple of years, you do wonder what direction the Yankees will go in. And I think it's a direction that probably doesn't include him.
Yeah. Hey, look, Louis, you know how I feel about the Yankees, but, honestly speaking, the guy's he's worked his ass off. He's given a lot to this Yankees organization. And how long had it been since the Yankees had even been in a World Series? And we're talking about the Yankees, because what I'm saying, a bunch of Major League Baseball franchises could look at me and say, Putty, please, we haven't won a World Series in 20, 30 years. Listen, this is the Bronx. If you don't win a World Series every 5 years in the Bronx, you got a problem with your fans. They don't give a damn about none of that crap. They just don't. So it's good. It's a great reward for Boone. But, Louis, as a fan, you expect more. They got him. Now, It's only 2 years, like John said, it's short term. But as a fan now, aren't you expecting that World Series now?
Yes, I am. And if they can do that, maybe he'll get another extension. So right now it's a short term, but it can turn to something even greater, especially if they win a World Series next 2 years. So I expect more to happen as time moves along. And if I'm lying, I'm dying.
Well, don't be dying, Louis. Okay, take your time on that. Okay. You and I still got to go and jump off the pier.
I'll bring my extra life jacket.
I'll save you, Louis. I'm old, but I can still swim. I might catch a couple of deadly cramps that might drown us, but I can still swim.
Yeah.
So, how many times in sports has there been a story of that some may consider an injustice or justifiable? An athlete who's made a mistake. Uh, it happens, unfortunately, in baseball. Trevor Bauer. I mean, we can start spitting names out, right? And I mean spitting names out of guys who have done some bad things, and some of them borderline atrocities. If you really start thinking about morals and values, who are continuously given another chance. How many times over the years, John, when faced with one of these idiots, you will always bring up the valid point, but Ralph, somebody's going to sign them. Ralph, somebody's going to sign them. It's like, I hear that over and over again. I wish for once John would say, but he's right. Somebody's going to sign him. One of the greatest baseball players, if you didn't get to see him, young generation, one of the greatest baseball players you would ever get to see is Charlie Hustle. Boy, listen, I'm telling you right now, tears of absolute respect and appreciation. And I dare the two men that are my co-hosts on this show to tell me that Pete Rose didn't do it for you when you watched that man play baseball. Pete Rose was the definition of, I'm going to leave it all on the field. He left it on the field. He made a mistake. He made a mistake. How do you keep, John, 4,000, how many hits? 4,250?
Yeah, it's about 4,100 actually, yeah.
Yeah.
The most of everybody else.
No. I do think all of this has to do with apparently a pardon that's going to be provided by the current administration to Pete Rose based on the gambling that took place while he was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and I think based on that
I could talk a lot of junk about this president, but I would appreciate if he would do that.
Well, it appears that he's going to do that, and I think that Rob Manfred decided based on that happening that the idea of him being put into the Hall of Fame, even though he's now passed away, is now available to him and to the Cincinnati Reds and to the fan base that still remembers him. And I think that the combination of all of these things really wheeling into place has allowed for this possibility to now all of a sudden be available to everyone. It does, I guess, bring up the point: are you going to ignore what Bart Giamatti found when he was investigating Rose back then, and really was the reason behind everything that eventually would happen, the agreement, not being in the Hall of Fame, all of that stuff? Does all of that now just get ignored? Does that get thrown away?
No, it doesn't get ignored. Pete Rose committed the baseball equivalent of a crime, and he was found guilty by a jury of his baseball peers, and they sentenced him. And at some point, how long do I have to pay? Well, for Pete Rose, he died, so he paid for the rest of his life.
And I do think
Yeah.
that's what this was, a lifetime ban. I do think that's what this was.
And so now when he better late than never. John, John, you've been to Cooperstown, right?
I have.
Louis, you ever been to Cooperstown?
No, I wish I
Okay,
was, but yeah.
I've been there. I've been there twice, as a 12-year-old and as a 26-year-old. John, I don't even have to ask you because I know you're going to agree with me, but let me tell you about the 12-year-old. The 26-year-old appreciated it because I knew so much more about baseball, and now I could see it as a grown man. But that little 12-year-old John Doucette, Louis Tenor, when that little 12-year-old Ralph Garcia walked into that building, oh my God. I understood why they called it the hallowed halls of Cooperstown. Why this place is so. I feel it now. It was a water feeling. And as I grew older, and then Pete Rose and all these players, who's going to Cooperstown? We have the argument every, this guy got snubbed, this guy got, he can wait till next year. For me, John, this Cooperstown is not Cooperstown before I die, unless Charlie Hustle's in there. He belongs. He belongs in there, John.
That's going to end up to be how this is played out. Actually, that he should have been put in while he was still alive, as opposed to what eventually I think is going to happen, which is they'll put him in, unfortunately, when he's passed away, and that the Cincinnati Reds and Major League Baseball will do what they can to apologize for the fact that he can't make his speech in Cooperstown as everybody else gets the chance to do. Because I do think that in his case, it would have been a very interesting one to hear and to experience.
Louis, what are your thoughts, Louis? Charlie Hustle, did that make you mad? Do you want Pete Rose to never get into the hall? We never really talked about this, Louis. What are you feeling?
I mean, come on. I mean, all right. So he gambled. Okay, I get it. But there have been other players been in the Hall of Fame and probably did something even far worse than that, and they just stopped them from getting it. So the punishment, of course, is not fit the crime. Okay, I'm not going to condone what he did, but come on, condemning him for something so small that even though baseball considers like committing a felony, no, come on, it's time. It's time to stop, and it should have stopped long ago. He made a mistake. All right. All right. So I know the integrity, his integrity was gone. It was, shot to hell and whatnot. And a lot of fans were upset at the time. Even I was like, why would you do that? But come on, it's not like he committed murder or anything. And
How long
there are other people who've done a lot worse and got the Hall of Fame. Look, they probably said, okay, we're not going to limit it until it's possibly to get him in. Let him in already, okay? He did the crime. Now let him get in. Okay.
Let his spirit get in. Let the man's spirit.
Exactly.
Which John begs the conversation in the future. At least Pete Rose got a lifetime ban. He literally got a lifetime ban.
Right.
But guys and I'm talking about guys that they belong. Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds belongs in Cooperstown. Mark McGwire belongs in Superstown.
And I do think that's where this is going.
Roger Clemens belongs in Cooperstown. And that's where I was going, John. Remember I talked earlier. Manfred's made it clear that he is trying to change this game. He's trying to bring it up to speed and look into the future. And I would think as part of the future, part of you running an organization like this is I've got to look at are there any wrongs that need to be righted from the past? Are there any issues that I need to address? Maybe not necessarily wrong. Issues like Pete Rose. Should I reinstate him in the future? Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, blah, blah, blah. And I think that this is where this may all lead to down the road, John.
And again, you're talking about a steroid era that's also now going to eventually be ignored based on all of these guys eventually getting in. And I do think that there's always going to be a percentage of the fan base that's not going to want that because...
no, of course not.
And that's always going to be the part of the argument that will never go away.
And it's rightfully So, because before we get off this subject, or as we get off this subject and we talk about these guys, let's not forget. Look, Pete Rose cheated, man. He gambled. And like you were saying, John, with Giamatti, you're gonna put that under the table, the stuff that was found, you gotta think about that. Guys like Bonds, Clemens, McGuire, they cheated the game. Louis, you used the word earlier, the integrity of the game. They cheated the integrity of the game. Pete Rose will get in after his death. For the rest of you guys, you'll eventually get in, but.
And the other part to those guys is going to be the fact that some of them appeared before Congress and basically lied. And so does that also factor into whether they can or they can't?
Yeah. Because, Louis, you said it earlier, man. We could start pointing the guys. He got in. He got in. He got in. Eventually, everybody should get in. I mean, listen.
And they make the steroid area as well. Look at how many took the steroids, right, and they got it. So.
I guess the best way to do this would be you would factor in what they did before they started and then what they did afterwards, and maybe you ignore what they did afterwards. And it's just what they did beforehand that gets them in.
You remember this idiot? I have never.
Right. Rafael Palmeiro would be an interesting argument.
Yeah.
You in front of a camera. This is like a soap opera script. I'm going to swear before God I didn't do it, knowing that I did it.
And again, I think that's when they did appear before Congress and they did lie the way that they did, what kind of impact does that present here?
Right. And that's what I think of as the future rolls around. Like you said, the impact. Impact meaning how long does that delay your what you hope is your inevitable eventual induction into the Hall of Fame.
Because eventually you're going to have to admit that you did it, and then that's going to be part of your speech, unfortunately, which is really not what you want.
And another thing, yes, if you get in, guys, we want to hear about it in your speech. We don't want you to leave it out.
Right.
It's the reason why you didn't get in all the years before when you should have.
Now, do I expect Barry Bonds to stand there before the rest of the crowd to show up and admit it? No, I don't. Because he will never admit it, he never gets there.
The only guy that might do it is Mark McGuire.
And he already
Roger Clemens, and Barry Bonds ain't going to give you that pleasure.
No, they're not going to give it to you, and I think they're not going to do it. They don't get there.
Last but not least, in the Major League Baseball side, spring training is underway. I have a lot of stories, you got your little injuries that are happening, which happen every year. Every year at spring training. I told the story about a guy who told me the Cubbies were 8-0. Well, now they're 8-2. They might be 8-3 now. I'll check here in a minute. Let's see. They might be 8-3. You got to be careful talking about that. John, anything of interest going on in Major League Baseball this early that's caught your eye? Are you here?
No, not really. I think the best part about spring training is that it's going on, and that it appears that all of these teams are doing what they need to do to get ready for opening day. Certainly for the Dodgers and for the Cubs, they've kind of ramped it up a little bit quicker because they're going to be the first two teams that will stop spring training to make the trip to Japan to begin the regular season. So for those two teams, spring training really is, I think, at the halfway point for them, and that they're starting to look ahead toward making that trip and everything that'll be involved with it. But for everybody else, there doesn't seem to be anything major that's happening that is going to stop any of these teams from being ready for opening day.
John, actually, I caught something interesting. I hope I find it. It was just really interesting. Okay.
Well,
Postseason.
Well, first of all, the
Right.
very interesting thing in training is the umpire challenges that these players now have the opportunity on balls and strikes to be a part of, and that's going to be. It looks like for 2026 is going to be implemented for regular season play, and so these umpires are now going to be using computers to verify their ball and strike calls, which makes things a bit interesting. But I think that's the one interesting thing about spring training that has been taking place is that the local umpires are going to be a part of the everyday landscape.
Yeah. 2027. Welcome to the Jetsons. They finally made it.
Yeah, they finally did. Yes.
Okay, so here was something interesting I saw on MLB.com. It said postseason 2025 got the nice tubing, like underneath tubing water pipes. And then the Major League Baseball logos of the Angels, the Cubs, the Rays, the Jays, the Rangers, the Giants, the Pirates, and the A's. And it's titled, I'm going to go into it here. It's titled Sub 500 Teams to Playoffs. Actually, I have to go back because the article is not important as what it said right here. Give me a second. I should have never moved it. I never thought about this. It says here, at least one sub 500 team has reached the postseason the following year 33 of the past 35 seasons. So it's a safe bet that one or more of these clubs will be playing in October. John, yeah, I thought that was a really interesting, I'm just scouring for news. And I thought it was an interesting stat because you wouldn't really think about that, right? Sub 500 teams.
No, and I mean, let's face it, it's a very impressive stat too when you think about it. 33 out of 35 years to have one sub 500 team go from being that to being a playoff team the next year.
The postseason? Yeah.
That's very, very impressive. And it is what a 62-game season is, that everything is never the same.
So, Louis, I'm going to ask you. These are the sub 500 teams. The Angels, the Cubs, the Rays, the Jays, the Rangers, the Giants, the Pirates, and the A's. Any of those sub 500 teams, which one of those, according to this stat, one of those teams are going to make the playoffs. And they were sub 500 teams. I'm just wondering, Louis, which one do you like?
It's so fun. I mean, they're all pretty lousy. I mean,
yeah.
Well, actually, Pittsburgh was going to be the one, but because they saw the first part of the season, they just dropped off like a rock and everything. I'll go on a hunch here. I'll say even though they're the same division we are, the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Wow. John, what are your thoughts?
I would take Tampa Bay before I take the Blue Jays.
And you know why I picked Tampa Bay? I picked Tampa Bay for one reason. For the same reason you should pick Tampa Bay. If there's any team out of this bunch right here that stands out right away, that you look at right away at first glance, I'm trying to say it the right way, that you look at it at first glance and say that team doesn't even belong in this group, is Tampa Bay.
Well, here's the other reason why. Think of what their season is now going to be like. They're going to have to play in a spring training ballpark because their ballpark has been destroyed.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about a team that has already, and I don't know how the logistics of all this is going to play out for them, but the motivation factor here of being in an environment that they didn't expect to be in will now have to figure out how to coexist in and how that plays out for the rest of the season for them. I think the motivation of them being in a ballpark that they really don't want to be in, I'm sure, I think is going to help them to be a contender for a playoff spot. Plus, I think in Toronto's case, if the Blue Jays are going to be anything, they've got to first decide what to do with Vladimir Guerrero. Now, if they can't sign him to an extension, and it appears that they can't, then Do they trade him or do they keep him? What do they do with him? Because as long as that decision is hanging over everybody's head, I think that's going to make it very difficult for the Blue Jays to be really anything this year.
Yeah. I mean, the A's haven't been playing too bad this spring, by the way.
No, and that's another team that's been displaced, obviously, and they're going to be playing in the minor league ballpark themselves. And so that's a team that may be able to sneak up on teams just based on the lack of knowledge and maybe even the lack of notoriety that they possess. And they may be able to take advantage of it in a division that looks like it's starting to change somewhat because of the Houston Astros going through a bit of a reload with the loss of Bregman and the loss of Tucker, and what the rest, and the Mariners still being a team that can pitch but can't hit. And so then you've got what the Angels and Rangers can do. The Oakland A's may be a team that sneaks up on everybody just because nobody's paying attention to them.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting baseball to see Tampa Bay and Oakland navigate their home parks, so to speak, their new home parks. That's going to be something different to watch. Louis, here's to wishing the New York Yankees a 92-loss season. I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, Louis. I'm looking forward to more like an 81 and 81 breakdown season. Now that Boone's got the extension and they made the. No, I'm really being serious, actually, Louis. Right. I'm concerned for you guys because you made it. You made it to the World Series. I don't think this team's going back to the World Series. I see this team having a fall apart season. I want them to, but I'm just saying, I think you guys in the back of your mind are going to be a little concerned about that. So let's watch that, okay? Now, that takes care of all the Major League Baseball talk we could give you. But we're a baseball show. In the batter's box, meaning the batter's box is in college as well. Oh, I should have said the better baseball. I'm sorry, John. The better baseball is what I should have said. College baseball, John Doucette, after beating up on Dallas Baptist, going 5-0 last week. The LSU Tigers have replaced the Aggies of Texas A&M as the new number one in the land.
Well, here's the thing with the Texas A&M Aggies. We'll start with them first. A 4-game losing streak is the reason why that they are now not the number one team anymore. They just finished the tournament in Houston. They played in the Houston Astro Foundation tournament, in which they went 1-2. They won their one game last night, beating Rice in a mercy rule game, 14-4. But leading up to that particular game, they'd only scored 2 runs in the previous 2 games in that tournament. They were just having an awful time trying to score runs and trying to even give themselves chances to win games. Last night, they took care of it by hitting 4 home runs, and they finally busted out. But up until last night, the Texas A&M Aggies were just having an awful time offensively.
They couldn't manufacture any anymore. Yeah, they couldn't manufacture any kind of run. They tried every which way they could to get anything across the plate, and they just couldn't make it happen until finally, like you said, until finally they did, which cost them. And of course, LSU's hot week. They had a great week.
Tennessee also played well in that tournament too. They went 2-1 in that event. They also played well in that tournament, and certainly bodes well for what the SEC is going to be bringing to the table in a couple of weeks when conference play begins.
TCU, Mississippi State, Cincinnati, of course, also had bad performances this past week, dropping them out of the rankings. And another team that went 3-2 last week, though it wasn't enough to help keep them ranked as well, was the Blue Devils of Duke, John.
Yeah. Again, I think, this is what the early season is all about. And remember, here's the difference between college baseball and Major League Baseball is that college baseball doesn't have any spring training. And so you start right off the bat playing games for real once Valentine's Day weekend arrived. And so you either have to be ready for that early part of the schedule, or you're going to have your stumbling moments, which some of these teams have already had. Vanderbilt had a tough weekend this past weekend with UConn at home, losing yesterday, and then really should have taken advantage of a team from the Northeast, but frankly hasn't been outside yet, based on the weather that we've had up here. But yet, the Connecticut Huskies gave Vanderbilt all sorts of problems over the weekend to continue to demonstrate that they're probably the best team from around here.
As you can see, folks, this is a part of the show. Louis is the quiet producer. He's listening and making sure we don't sound stupid.
Well, up here in this part of the country, especially where I am, college baseball is like is way in the back.
Yeah, it's like badminton.
Pretty much.
What is it? What that game they used to play the old time? Bocce or bocce ball?
Bocce.
Yeah, bocce. Yes.
Yeah. You gotta look under a very long microscope to get into a college baseball. It's about half inch thin. Yeah.
Louis, I'll be more than happy to let you guys talk baseball. John, got a nice game coming up. I believe it is tomorrow. Coastal Carolina playing North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
The annual game between the two teams that takes place in the non-conference. Usually they do that a couple times a year, actually. I think that one's being played at a neutral site as opposed to being on campus. They usually try to go to a minor league stadium in the Carolinas to be able to play that game, to really give themselves a bit more exposure, and then hopefully put a few more people in the seats for that particular game. And again, Coastal Carolina is one of those mid-majors that has always found a way to be pretty good and to be a factor once you get to late April and early May, when we start talking about the potential field of 68 and so forth. They always seem to find a way to get in there, and I think this year will be no difference. Coastal Carolina is also a team that has a new coach this year, and so the transition is being made.
Yeah, be working very well for them. They're ranked 24th right now. Of course, North Carolina is number 4 in the country. Speaking of the ranking, John, you mentioned Tennessee. They are the number 2 team in the country. Things going very well in the state of Tennessee. As the baseball team, of course, ranked number 2 in the country. The new men's college basketball rankings are out, and I'm going to tell you, people, the other night there was a game. How am I forgetting the other team, John?
Let's see. Their last, it was a conference game.
No, wait. Tennessee the Tennessee men just beat Alabama.
Alabama, yes.
So the number 7 Crimson Tide,
yes,
went into town to Knoxville the other night to meet the number 6 Tennessee Volunteers. Listen, boys, that's game of the year right now. I can't even begin to tell you. My wife and I, we couldn't even, the whole game. What a game. Vols come out big winners, 79-76. What I'm getting at is it's a good time in the state of Tennessee right now. Of course.
I mean, for Tennessee, if you're going to play in the Final Four, this is the group that's going to get there. If not, it's going to be a while.
No, I have been in the state of Tennessee now for 36 years. I went from University of Miami and whoever. I am a Vol for Life fan. This is the best volunteer basketball team I have seen in all my decades here. This team is bona fide Final Four national championship contender. So, and it's not over yet. Duke, of course, plays tonight.
Duke should handle Virginia without a problem.
Yeah, but on any given Sunday, John.
Right.
On any
if you want to see the number 1 pick in the NBA draft this summer, check out Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, check out that kid. That kid is unbelievable. And we know that baseball is dominated by
the way.
Yeah. 17. He's still supposed He's still supposed to be in high school.
Right. He's from a small town called Freeport, Maine. And
I can't wait to get to Maine to eat a lot of lobster. Any surprises here, John? There were no surprises. Texas A&M, they fell all the way down to 14.
well, that was the surprise. I mean, Texas A&M going through the 4-game losing streak and not being able to score any runs. That was the surprise. And go to a tournament that was, frankly, well represented. I mean, there were some very good teams that were part of that.
Vanderbilt's been dropping.
Well, again, losing to an unranked UConn team is going to do that too, which they did. And again, you're talking about a team from the Northeast that's had a hard time getting outside because of the weather up here, the snow, the ice, so forth. And yet they get to go to Nashville and really, I think, provided Vanderbilt with more than enough of a problem to, and maybe even exposed a couple of things that might be an issue with that baseball team going forward.
By the way, Oklahoma State with a strong 4-0 week this past week was able to bring themselves into the top 25 in baseball, college baseball as well. Great week for them, as well as we mentioned Coastal Carolina, Auburn, Alabama, all had great weeks this past week, all moving into the top 25. So, and it's the beauty about college baseball that I really like a lot more than basketball and others when it comes to rankings. Because remember, in college baseball, you could lose 2 out of 3 and not lose a spot in your ranking.
Well, the reason why is because you're playing 53 games.
Right. And that's what makes it so interesting. So, we're going to keep on doing our thing here in college baseball as the season goes on. But at this time, this is one of Louis' favorite parts of the show.
Yeah.
Louis, final thoughts.
Well, as we talked about earlier with the changing baseball coming up, all I can say for ESPN is, well, you're out.
That's for sure. That's for sure. John, final thoughts.
Well, I do think just with what Louis is saying, I think that the changing of the guard with regard to television and how television is going to be part of Major League Baseball going forward, I think is going to be very interesting. And the question becomes, how much more expensive is it going to be for fan bases across Major League Baseball to actually be able to see their favorite teams? It'll be interesting to see, I think, how much more important Apple TV becomes to Major League Baseball streaming service.
Sure.
And if Apple TV can convince Major League Baseball that that's the way to go, if their numbers continue to be good, then I think you're going to see Apple TV become the forefront of what the future of Major League Baseball in television is going to look like.
My first abbreviated final thoughts is, something, Valley Sports, maybe if you did things differently.
Right. Exactly.
The pot at the end of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is waiting for you right now.
It'd be pretty damn significant, yeah. No kidding.
As soon as I saw that, that's all I could think about. Valley Sports, they have got to be kicking themselves in the ass 100 times over.
Yeah.
This could have all fallen right on your lap.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Literally.
Choke.
You were the network waiting for this to happen, and you couldn't even keep your ship afloat.
Nope.
Wow. Talk about some of the worst draft picks ever. That's one of the worst businesses created. I mean, this would have not only saved Valley Sports. Holy crap. That's all we may have, if they didn't screw up so bad, John, the future would have been Valley Sports Baseball, Major League Baseball, Valley Sports.
Right, because of how many teams they were involved with.
Already, it would have only made sense for the rest of the team.
It would have only made sense for them to be involved with everybody because they were involved with half the teams as it was anyways.
The other teams might as well have. We might have the easiest route to take.
It will be interesting to see what the big market teams, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs in particular, do with their cable systems, because those systems have been a part of their organizations for years and years and years. So, like for instance, in Louis' case, the Yes Network. In my case, it's messing with the Red Sox. What those relationships become going forward? How do they change going forward because of the potential of live streaming?
Hey, Louis, I got an assignment for you.
Yes.
Find somebody at Valley Sports and bring them on the show. I love to ask him a few questions, Louis.
Yeah, I think everybody would like to ask him a few questions. Absolutely.
I'm sure I can come up with about 31 by myself. And if I can come up with 30, John can come up with 64. So, yeah, that would be interesting. Thank you for joining us this evening, everybody. This is In the Batter's Box. It is the NGSC Sports Baseball Show. I'm your host, Rob Garcia, joined as always by my guy, Johnny Doucette, and, of course, Louis Tenor. Until Saturday, Louis, I have to get with Jordan because time to talk some basketball again.
Yeah.
I gotta rag my Knicks. I gotta rag them.
Yeah, I was gonna ask off air. I mean, are you gonna be doing the NBA shows?
I don't care how many points a game and rebounds. I don't care about any of that. You can't beat Oklahoma City. You can't beat Cleveland, and you damn sure can't beat Boston. So, well, Louis, as Knicks fans, what are we doing? And can somebody, Louis, I got a better assignment for you, Louis.
Yes.
Take that damn chair. I want you to aim it. Sit in the chair. Go to Madison Square Garden. Aim it for Tom Thibodeau. And you run him over with your chair. Tell him I said, what the are you doing playing these guys 60 minutes a night?
Yeah. Well, the question is, what are you doing wrong?
What do you got a bench for?
I mean, every time they play against the Celtics, they're like, it's not even a contest. It's like over the first quarter.
And by the way, I'll end the NBA talk with this and start it again on Saturday. John. Okay, I know the Cavs, what they did the other night with the Celtics. That's fine, okay? But for me right now, listen, the Celtics are sitting in the car and a nice little, they got that thing on cruise control and they're just letting the season happen.
That's pretty much what they've been doing, yes. They're not playing everybody every night, and because they're not doing it, I think they're faking some injuries just to make this look good.
I think, funny you said that because it's funny you said that, because I think with the Celtics, they're preparing for the postseason.
Yes, they are, and they've been preparing for it really hard.
Right. So it's like the Celtics have lost 2 in a row. Well, the Celtics got blown out the other night. Maybe the Celtics got together the night before and said, guys, look, we're going to play. Don't worry about it. We'll worry about it in June.
Yeah, because
remember that
Donovan Mitchell is a great player, no question. And I think that he can be a guy that if you put the team on his back, he can win for a while. But you're still dealing with a potential 3-headed monster in Boston that over a game series, they're going to figure it out.
What was that, Louis?
I mean, even though the Celtics, and Knicks, play very competitive against each other, in the standings, they're not that far apart.
Well, again, the Celtics don't need the number 1 seed in the East. That's the whole point. They don't need it.
But whoever comes out of the East, you better get ready for a storm.
Well, I don't think the Cavaliers or the Celtics are really that concerned about Oklahoma City. I really don't think they are.
No, I don't think that they are. I'm saying they should. I'm saying they should. I don't think that Oklahoma City can take Boston in 7, but if there's a team that can take them in 7, it's Oklahoma City.
Yes.
I think the Celtics yesterday took care of Denver, and I think the way that they did it, I think would have people to be rather concerned about how many teams in the West are really worthy of potentially winning the championship.
And a preview of Saturday's show, Louis, what the hell happened to 10th place Lakers, who are now the number 2 seed in the West? Luka.
Great move to the trade deadline, and now they're right in the thick of it.
That'll
I
be
wasn't
an
counting the Lakers out anyway.
game
I wasn't
Saturday
counting them out.
when the Lakers come here to Boston to play the Celtics. That'll be an interesting Saturday night game, and I do think
I'll
that
be watching that game for
John,
sure.
you,
For sure.
you took me back. Back in the 80s, when I grew up, my friends wouldn't miss the Cosby Show
Right.
unless the Lakers and the Celtics were playing.
Yes.
Look, I'll end it with this, and John was right there for it. I cannot speak for basketball in the 60s. I was born in 1963. I was listening to the Knicks on the radio. I know as early as my father told me 3 years old. I've loved the Knicks all my life. But I could only tell you about I like John, we could only really tell you about basketball from the 70s on. That 10 years that we had, John, Lakers and the Celtics, that was the best it's ever been.
unfortunately for the Lakers, they lost too many times.
Yeah, it's just the best it's ever been. The best it's ever been. It's never been a series like that for such a long period of time, a whole decade.
Right.
Lakers, Celtics, Celtics, Lakers, Bird, Magic, Magic, Bird.
It really is what made the NBA. It really is what put them over the top and allowed them the opportunity to get the television contracts they now possess.
I remember Larry Bird saying he never paid attention to a box score in his life. They asked him why. He said, because I led every category.
Right.
But why would I care about a box score? He said, and then I went to the NBA and I found myself picking up the newspaper and going straight to the sports section just to see what Magic did last night so I could do better. Wow. I'm going to stop right there because, boy, that was the greatest. But John, you got a grin on your face that tells me, buddy, those were the greatest of times back then.
Yeah, they were. And like I say, we came out on top more often than they did, which was the great part of the whole thing.
Unfortunately, Louis, it's the only joy that we can get because the closest we ever got to a title, number 23 always broke our heart.
We should have won in '94.
One of the worst years of my life, Louis, just because of that. I asked Pat Riley in my head, why didn't you take John Starks out? Because he brought us to the dance.
Starks had a platter.
When you're 1 of 9 or 1 of 10 at halftime in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, I'm sorry, it's time for you to sit your ass down and think for a few minutes, okay? Just sit down for a little bit. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know Louis is ready to go to bed. I'm damn sure ready to go to bed. John, who knows? He's probably going to the game somewhere or something. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Good night, folks.